I'm Lenora.
I'm Coda.
I'm Connor.
And we're the Shamrock News.
And I'm Mr. Dixon. You're about to watch Teach 100, a rap music video made by the people at Rowell Middle School. Holla!
Oh my God.
Do you know what power?
Morning class, it's a day that ends in Y. We got art to make, we got sentences to write, we got rocks to study, we got math to solve, we got PE with soccer and basketball. From September to June, knowledge is the treasure and clue. I promise to pursue this endeavor with you. We will work until the hour hand on that clock budges. I will hold you accountable but won't hold grudges. You're learning how to deal, best friends flip and turn into a heel. And you're learning how it feels when you and all the other people are morphing. Pythagorean theorems don't seem so important. Grown up doesn't seem so soon. I get it, I swear I was once you too. But everything that you have learned isn't for naught. It'll help you build a bridge that will get you across. Yeah, you see, metaphorically speaking, we're going to teach you some emotional skills that'll help you get over some tough times in your life. But mathematically speaking, we're going to teach you how to build actual bridges. It goes teach 100 to teach 100 more. Going for the goals that we're running towards. We might win the race, we might fall on the face, but we'll give it all we got before we call it a day. 6 class periods, 30 students each, going through life trials, tribulations, and purity. Little orbs of clay that'll morph and change their course and ways. Each kid a different form and shape. Light bulbs flash, smile starts growing, this is it. Welcome to that aha moment, this is it. We face it head on, no sidestep. Can't turn to cans with the growth mindset. Together we're preparing for the future, celebrating success and accepting bloopers, developing our inquiry and sense of humor, thinking on our own, not just with computers. Yeah, it's not easy, no one said it would be. I'll tell you how it is and I'll tell you how it could be. Exceptional, water seeds we collect and grow. You are more than your test results, and I'm a counselor, a janitor, the keeper of the pencils, a mentor, a challenger, the reader of the schedule. I'm a listener, a teacher with a beating heart, lifelong learner and a master of the seating chart. I mean, y'all knew I wasn't gonna let you just sit with whoever you wanted to every single day, right? You have to learn how to collaborate with people who aren't your friends. Make sure I get my pencils back too. It goes teach 100 to teach 100 more. Going for the goals that we're running towards. We might win the race, we might fall on the face, but we'll give it all we got before we call it a day.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome AMLE Executive Director, Dr. Will Weidlich.
Thank you. Welcome to Columbus, OH. Let's try that again, OH. Whether you're from Ohio, from some other state, or around the world, we thank you so much for being here. The Association for Middle Level Education is delighted that you are with the most vibrant and exciting professional development event in middle level education. We like to call it AMLE 2015. Over the next 3 days, right here in Columbus, we will learn and think together as innovative, progressive, and passionate middle grades educators so that we can reach every student, create great schools, and grow professionally. And through that learning, we'll be ready to and be motivated with the tools we need to improve the educational lives of students ages 10 to 15. As the Executive Director of AMLE, I am proud to be a part of this amazing event. But before we begin today, I have a few housekeeping items. Right after today's session, head over to the exhibit hall and for dedicated exhibit hall time. Our exhibitors will love to see you there, and we have a special time just for that. While in the hall, I encourage you to play the exhibit hall scavenger hunt game. If you haven't already started, do that. There's some great prizes for you to win there. Also, while you're in the exhibit hall, visit the Resource Center so you can check out the books you need for the solutions you want. And also, in the exhibit hall today at 11:30 and on Friday, lunch is provided as a part of your registration. That's right, AMLE 2015 is here to satisfy your hunger for knowledge and for good food. Finally, I'm pleased to announce that today's general session will be available for you to watch again and to share with your fellow educators on AMLE.org or by going to hashtag AMLE2015 on Twitter. Look for it next week. Thank you.
The heart is a balloon, shoots up through the stony ground. There's no room.
Good morning, good morning.
No space
All right.
in this.
How we doing out there? Yeah? All right, let's hear from you this morning, all right? So when I say good, you say morning. Good? Good? When I say great, you say day. Great? 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 Oh, that's very, very nice. All right, all right. So listen. Thank you so much. It's going to be a good morning, and it's going to be a great day here at AMLE 2015, your 42nd annual conference for middle level education. Are you ready for it? Oh, yes. Okay, now hold on, though, a second. Before we get going, there are not one, not two, not three, not five, but 4 things that we've got to take care of before we get going, okay? So, first, let's hear it for our host city. Let's hear it for Columbus, Ohio. Yes. Now, they call it the C bus. All right, so we're going to try this one more time again, okay? When I say C, you say bus. C, C. When I say C, you say bus. C, C. Very, very nice. We're so glad you're here to experience Columbus with us, all right? So we did the first thing. Now let's try number 2. Let's hear it for the school, for the teachers, and for the students who put that opening video and opening song together. Let's hear it for the students at Rao Middle School, all the way in Portland, Oregon, and their teacher and rapper, Mr. Lucas Dix. He produced the video and the song exclusively for us here at AMLE 2015. Let's hear it for him. Now, that video is going to be living on our conference website, so please go back and watch it anytime, share it, download it, and everything like that. And pretty shortly, the song and the album by Mr. Dix are going to be on iTunes, so you can search for Teach 100, and all the proceeds go back to Rao Middle School and their Shamrock News Department. Very nice, very nice. All right, so we did the first thing, the second thing, and let's do the third thing. Now, English Language Arts teacher moment here, so bear with me. There's a very special pronoun in the city of Columbus. Let's see if you can search it in your mind with me. What's that special pronoun? Us. Very, very good. So you're an advanced group. All right, so yes, AMLE 2015 is definitely about you. It's about your needs, your challenges, your triumphs, your passion for the students and the teachers in the community and the families that you serve. Okay, so this is your annual conference. We couldn't do it without you. This is the annual conference exclusively and specially dedicated to meeting your needs in the middle level. All right, we couldn't do it without you, each and every one of you. But here's the essential question of the morning. How do we make an us? How do you make an us? How do you bring all these wonderful yous together to make an us? So maybe it's about celebrating what we have in common, our common love for the middle grades. Maybe it's about celebrating the common language we share, those 16 common characteristics that make an effective and amazing middle school that we see in This We Believe and that found this entire conference. And you know, maybe it's also, sorry, my middle school voice coming back to me. Maybe it's also about these bands that I have on, these wristbands that each have their own special meaning. You know, maybe it's about how we band together how we band together for the students and the families we serve. Now look out now. All right? Maybe it's about how we band together to show our collective pride and our common passion for the middle grades. Maybe it's about how we band together to raise our voices in a glorious chorus for the critical middle level. Let's hear it now. All right? So yes, this is your conference. It's for everything that you do every day, and you'll hear it often. Everything you do to reach every student, grow professionally, and create great schools. And you know it because each of us out here in the audience, each of us is great. But we're made even greater when we band together, for the common cause that is middle-level education. I don't want to miss this side over here, all right? So let's band together. So let's hear it. Are you ready for this here in C-Bus? All right, so we did the first, the second, the third thing. Now let's go on to number 4, the final number 4. Also think about Columbus. There's a big yellow vehicle that we all know and love in the host city's name, Columbus. What is that special vehicle? The bus. Get on the bus. So yes, here we are in Columbus, Ohio, here on Thursday, and the wheels on the conference bus will go round and round, round and round, round and round. All right? So this morning we have a four-wheeled keynote for you. And it's ready to roll out, roll on, and roll forward on the bright road ahead. So to help us introduce these 4 excellent speakers, these insightful educators, we have 2 great students, Brianna Walker from Columbus Gifted Academy and Michaela Bledsoe from the Columbus City Preparatory School for Girls right here in Columbus, Ohio. Let's give it up for them.
My name is Brianna Walker. I attend Columbus Gifted Academy, and I'm in the 8th grade.
And my name is Michaela Bledsoe, and I attend Columbus City Preparatory School for Girls, and I also am in the 8th grade. And today we're going to hear from 4 amazing speakers, so let's get started. First, we have Rick Wormelli. One of the first nationally board-certified teachers in America, Rick brings innovation, energy, validity, and high standards to both his presentations and his instructional practice, which includes almost 30 years of teaching math, science, English, physical education, health, and history, and coaching teachers. A celebrated writer and thinker, Rick is a columnist for AMLE magazine and the author of many award-winning and best-selling books, including Meet Me in the Middle, Becoming an Accomplished Middle-Level Teacher, Day 1 and Beyond, Fair Isn't Always Equal, Assessment and Grading in the Differentiated Classroom, Differentiation from Planning to Practice, grades 6 through 12, and Metaphors and Analogies, Power Tools for Teaching Any Subject. His latest book, published by AMLE, is the collected writings so far of Rick Wormelli. He is a seasoned veteran of many international webcasts, and he is Disney's American Teacher Award's 1996 Outstanding English Teacher of the Nation. He won the 2008 James P. Garvin Award from the New England League of Middle Schools for teaching excellence, service, and leadership, and has been a consultant for National Public Radio, USA Today, Court TV, and the Smithsonian Institution's Natural Partners Program. As a teenager, Rick was famous for being the anchor on his school's news shows and assisting the local coroner in doing autopsies in his spare time.
Our next speaker is Summer Howarth. Summer Howarth is a deeply passionate pedagogue who has worked in every corner of the education scene, from school to university and government at a range of scales. A teacher, leader, and education advocate, she has an unwavering belief in the potential of young adolescents and those who teach them. As an executive member of Adolescent Success and co-founder of the Teach Me program, Summer is committed to raising the efficacy and profile of the education professions and teachers by working with design methods and vibrant networks, reshaping the way professional learning is delivered and demanded by teaching professionals and pre-service educators. Summer is currently National Director of Learning at Education Change Makers, Unleashing Teacher-Led Innovation. She believes wholeheartedly in eating cake for breakfast and will be forever amazed by how planes fly, how boats float, and how Post-it notes stay posted. And be aware that you may pick up of a Southern, South Australian accent. After summer is David Hayward. David Hayward has spent more than 20 years sharing his passion for education and technology, inspiring educators to integrate educational pedagogy with 21st century technology tools. He began his career as a classroom teacher in Toledo City Schools, and within a few years accepted the position of Educational Technology Trainer, or otherwise known as ETT. As an ETT, his love for teaching and technology grew as he helped develop, teach, and facilitate the integration of technology in the classroom, providing individualized instruction to teachers and students, as well as conducting district-level technology workshops. In 2002, he moved to Columbus, Ohio, where he completed his MA in Technologies of Instruction and Media from The Ohio State University. That same year, he accepted a position with Instructional Technology Services of Central Ohio, a nonprofit education technology agency. He spent 12 years with ITSCO, working in and out of schools, continuing to share with and build the education technology community in Central Ohio. In 2014, he felt the pull to get back into the school setting and accepted the position of Education Technology Integration Specialist, where he has the opportunity to share with and work with the wonderful students and staff in Westerville City Schools. As an undergraduate attending Bowling Green University here in Ohio, David was the reigning champion of a major Tetris tournament. That's right, Tetris.
And finally, we have Dr. Marcia L. Tate. Dr. Tate is the former executive director of PD for the DeKalb County Schools in Decatur, Georgia. During her 30-year career with the district, she has been a classroom teacher, reading specialist, language arts coordinator, and staff development director. She is currently an educational consultant and has taught more than 400,000 administrators, teachers, parents, and business and community leaders throughout the world and has authored 7 bestsellers. She received her bachelor's degree at Spelman College, master's degree at University of Michigan, specialist degree in educational leadership at Georgia State University, and doctorate in education at Clark Atlanta University. She loves musicals. During her middle school years, she memorized the lyrics to every song from the soundtracks of movies she loved, such as The Sound of Music and West Side Story. She still knows those lyrics to this day and will sing them if asked.
So without further ado, let everyone here at AMLE 2015 in Columbus join us as we begin this 4-part journey on the bright road ahead in the middle grades.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Marcia L. Tate.
I got a feeling. I've got a feeling that this is going to be a great conference. I've also got a feeling that if you want to lead your students to a bright future, then you should look at every day as a good day. In fact, they say if you love your job, you'll never work a day in your life because it won't be work, it'll be play. And people who play actually live longer than people who work. People who play live longer than people who work. There are 3 things you need to do every single day to get your students ready to learn. The first thing you need to do is be at the door to greet them. It is at the door where you develop a relationship with them. It is at the door where you can ask them how was their weekend, or you can compliment them on improved academic performance. I was presenting in Canada. Harry Wong was the first keynote speaker, and I was second. And Harry said something that I thought was so profound. He said, not only should the teacher be at the door, but one student should be standing there with the teacher to greet the class. He said, in schools that are doing that, bullying has diminished considerably, and it rotates until every single student has greeted the class. Number 2, you want to have calming music playing when they come in class. They're finding that the right type of music can make the hyperactive child less hyper, it can make the angry child less angry, and they're finding now that in many autistic brains, the only time the whole cerebral cortex of the brain lights up is when they're listening to music. And number 3, you want to start every class with something positive. So I want you to turn to the people sitting on either side of you, and you're going to tell them, you look fantastic, but let me show you how to do fantastic. This is fantastic. You look fantastic. Turn and tell them they look fantastic, please. You look fantastic. Now, I'm looking at smiles, and I'm hearing laughter, and that's exactly what I want. We know that positive thinking and humor actually not only lengthen your life, but they facilitate comprehension and retention. And so you want a classroom where students are thinking positively. By the time you get to the middle level, you have a class clown. You might as well use them. The job of the class clown is to bring you in some riddles and some jokes. I actually like riddles better than jokes because you have to think at high levels to solve a riddle. So these first two are for you. See if you can solve this riddle. What do you call a line of rabbits dancing backwards? A receding hairline. What did the mother cannonball say to the father cannonball? We're gonna have a BB. Think about it. These last two were created by middle-level students that I taught. Why did the fraction 1/5 go to see the psychiatrist? He was just 2 tenths. And finally, what did one strawberry say to the other strawberry? If you weren't so fresh, we wouldn't be in this jam. My son Chris is 27 years old. When Chris was in kindergarten, he absolutely loved school. It was in kindergarten that Chris could sing and dance and draw and move and connect ideas together, and he felt good about being there. You see, my son has characteristics of attention deficit. By the time he got to the middle years, my son's love for school diminished. So did his confidence, so did his grades. There was a book that came out years ago that said that everything I needed to know, I learned in kindergarten. That book is applicable to teaching the middle years, because if we're going to engage the middle level brain, we need to use the same strategies that they use in kindergarten. The content is different, but the strategy should never change. Your middle level student should be singing and dancing and moving and drawing and feeling good about being in your class. There are two ways to engage the middle level brain that I want to discuss this morning. The first one, students should be talking to each other about what it is you're learning. When I was taught to teach over 40 years ago, if two students were talking about their content, they were accused of cheating. You were never supposed to discuss what you're learning. Now, I hope that paradigm has changed, because the brain research is showing us that if you teach a concept at the middle level, and then you stop talking and you have each student reteach that concept to their partner, they will retain 90% of what they are capable of teaching to a partner. Talking also sends oxygen to the brain. When you open your mouth to speak, that sends oxygen, it wakes you up, it makes you more alert. The brain has to have oxygen. If your brain is deprived of oxygen for 3 or more minutes, you are literally brain dead. I've been in some middle-level classrooms where students are breathing, but you couldn't tell. They were figuratively brain dead. Now, I'd like for you to turn to someone sitting near you, and I want you to reteach them the 2 reasons I told you as to why students ought to be talking about their content. Just talk to somebody and tell them the 2 reasons why students should be talking about their content. Thank you very much. When you talk to them, you had to paraphrase, you had to summarize. And students speak each other's language, so sometimes they can understand something and present it better than the teacher can. The second thing that students ought to be doing if we're going to engage the middle level brain is moving. Students sit entirely too much and too long. And yet we know that anything you learn while you're moving is hardwired into your strongest memory system. It is called procedural or muscle memory. And it is the reason that people never forget how to drive a car. How many of you can drive a stick shift? You will never forget that. I don't care how long you drive an automatic. Your ability to ride a bicycle, to type, to tie your shoes, to play the piano. I had a teacher in one of my classes who told me that her mother has dementia. Her mother no longer recognizes her, no longer recognizes her children, but her mother is a pianist. Her mother can still go to the piano and play songs she once played because her ability to play the piano is hardwired into her strongest memory system. One teacher in my class told me, we spend the first 3 years of our children's lives teaching them to walk and talk, and the next 15 tell them to sit down and shut up. Middle-level students ought to be talking about their content, and they ought to be moving. Let me show you how to put some movement into a math lesson. When I teach the middle level, I have every student stand up beside his or her desk, and this is how we learn. This is a line has no endpoints. This is a line segment has 2 endpoints. This is array, parallel lines, intersecting lines, right angle, obtuse angle, acute angle. The slope of the line is positive, the slope is negative, the slope is 0, the slope is undefined. 90-degree turn, 90-degree turn, 180-degree turn. That is how you teach math so that middle-level students never forget math. And it's very appropriate, since I'm telling you it engage their brain, that I engage your brain. So we are going to do a dance I created to teach middle-level students how to add positive and negative integers. I need you to stand up. We're going to do the number line hustle. Stand where you can move to the left and to the right, please. I want you to visualize that there is a number line that crosses this stage. The positive numbers will be in what direction? And the negative? If you know that, you are ready to do the number line hustle. Music, maestro. We're going to start with a positive 5. Put some pep in your step, please. Do it. And move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. To a positive 5. Add a negative 3. Which way are we going? To the left. Move. 1, 2, 3. What number are you on? What do you have to do to get back to 0? 2. To the left. Move. 1, 2. Be back on 0. Let's do one more problem. Negative 6. Move. To a negative 6. Add a positive 10. Are we going past the 0? When you get to 0, throw up your hand and go, woo, and keep going. Positive 10, move. Woo! What number are you on? You should be on 4. Thank you. You may sit. If we want to pave a bright road ahead, which is the theme of this conference, for our middle-level learners, we have got to engage their brain. We have got to keep them talking and moving to learn what we need them to learn. They say you leave them laughing, so I'm going to leave you laughing because my time is almost up. This man was married to this woman who not only never smiled, but all she did was complain. How many of you know people who complain constantly? They went to the store and she stole a can of peaches, put them in her pocket. The store owner saw her take the peaches. He decides he's going to prosecute her for shoplifting. He takes her before the judge. The judge is fed up with shoplifters. He decides to give her time. So he tells his bailiff, find me a bowl and a can opener. The bailiff leaves the courtroom, finds a can opener and bowl, hands them to the judge. The judge tells the woman, I am going to open the can of peaches you stole. I'm pouring them in this bowl, and for every peach in this can, I'm giving you 1 month in prison for shoplifting. So he opened the can of peaches, he poured them in the bowl, and he counted the peaches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Before I sentence you to 6 months, does anyone want to say anything? The husband is in the back of the courtroom, waving his arms like this. The judge said, yes, sir, what do you want? He said, Your Honor, before you sentence my wife, you need to know something. She stole a can of peas, too. Thank you very much.
Good morning. As a resident of this area, I wanted to say thank you for coming to Columbus today. I hope that you enjoy Columbus as much as I do. We're going to start with a Twitter event. I'm an education technologist here at Westerville City Schools, and we're going to start with Twitter. So if you have a device, if you have your phones, if you have your computer out, if you don't have it out, that's fine. You don't need to take it out. You can do this anytime in the next 2 days. But if you have it out, then AMLE2015 will be the hashtag. And what I would like you to do is to thank the teacher that inspired you. Thank the teacher that gave you those access to opportunities, access to learning, access to anything that inspired you to be who you are today. And as you do that, I'm going to talk about the teacher that inspired me. This is Mr. Mancini. Now, this is 1981 approximately, so you can see the tinted glasses and the 80s look. But this is Mr. Mancini, and I'm thanking him today. I thanked him on Twitter. And I don't think he's on Twitter, just to tell you, but I'm thanking him on Twitter because I publicly need to tell him thank you. Because if not for him, I'm not here today as a veteran teacher of 22 years. And so I'm thanking Mr. Mancini. And so as I talk, please thank those teachers there. Use the hashtag AMLE2015. A story about Mr. Mancini. In 5th grade and 6th grade, I had him as a teacher. I had moved here from Massachusetts to Canton, Ohio. I didn't know anybody. You know, as a new kid, I didn't know anybody. I was a shy kid. I was somewhat introverted, so I didn't meet kids very well. And Mr. Mancini, he took me aside. He instilled confidence in me. And by January of that 5th grade year, he said, "David, would you like to be a part of our junior police program?" Junior police were crossing guards. And I said, "Yes, that would be awesome." He said, "The only thing you have to do is show up every morning early, and anyone who's absent, you have to fill in for." And so I did this, and I got my badge. I wore it every day. I was proud of it. And it instilled a confidence in me. He gave me access to be responsible, which gave me confidence. My 6th grade year, I walk into the classroom, first day. Mr. Mancini pulls me aside, and he says, "David, I'd like you to be captain of the junior police force." I mean, how great is that? I mean, this is the greatest moment in my life at this point, because now I got the opportunity to lead my fellow students. And he said, "David, every morning you're going to have to show up early. You have to set the schedule every week. You have to make sure your co-junior police are out on their posts. You have to make sure that they're doing what they need to do, reporting any incidents back to me." And I said, "Okay, I can handle that. That's really cool." He said, "The other thing you have to do is every day you have to leave a half hour before lunch, and you have to go to the kindergarten room, and you have to get them ready to go home, half-day kindergarten, and you have to help them get their boots on, their coats on, make sure their bags, and then you have to walk them about a half a mile or so down to Fulton Avenue." Anyone from Canton, Ohio? You know Fulton? Yeah, busy street, right? Busy street. And so I, as a 12-year-old, would cross about 12 to 15 kindergartners across the street every day. Mr. Mancini gave me those opportunities. He gave me access to kindergartners, to be responsible for kindergartners at the age of 12 years old. And I asked him, why? He said, "Because I see the potential in you. I see that you can do this." And so I did it. And by January again of that 6th grade year, I realized every day, one of the best parts of my day was going to the kindergarten and working with those little guys, getting them ready for their day, talking with them, asking how their day was. And then I'd walk them down, I'd cross them, and every day I'd pick up the afternoon kindergartners and walk them back. And I got to know these little guys. And from that point on, I realized at 12 years old, I wanted to be a teacher. Mr. Mancini didn't know that, but he gave me the access to that opportunity. He allowed me to succeed in that way. And so throughout my career, or my teenage years, I tried to then look for opportunities to work with younger students. And then the first day of college at Bowling Green State University, I declared I was a teacher already. I didn't have to wait and find what I was going to do. I already knew. And so that's why I want to thank Mr. Mancini for giving me that confidence, for inspiring me. This is the other thing Mr. Mancini did for me. Y'all know what this is? This is a 1981 computer. Some of you I see shaking your heads. This is the Apple IIe. This was the double disk drive, which is, I was amazed that I could find a picture like this. So this was the double disk drive, and notice the screen was green. Now at the time, if you remember the green screens, right? So at the time, this was high-tech stuff. I didn't have a computer back then, though. I didn't have any video game systems back then. I had never been on a computer. So this was brand new for me. This was my access point to computers. And so Mr. Mancini would take us down to the computer lab, and we ran this program called Logo. And some of you shaking your heads. It was a turtle that walked around, but this is so new that it wasn't a turtle, it was a triangle. That's all it was a triangle. And it drew lots of green lines. And so I would program it every day to draw different lines. And what Mr. Mancini would say to the class was, draw anything you'd like. He gave us a little bit of how to, pen down, pen up, go right, left. It was 90 degrees, all those kinds of things. But he would say, be creative. And so the last big assignment of this, for this lab was, go home, write out all your directions, come back to us, and type it all out and see what you made. And so I did. And again, this for me was a blast. And so this is, to this day, now this is 30-some years ago, this to this day is what I drew. Now, knowing I couldn't actually save this, there was no internet back then, but this is what I drew. No, and this is not me. This is Mr. Mancini. I took my creative moment, the opportunity that he gave me to work with technology, I took that moment to draw him. As a thank you to him, because he was my mentor, he was my role model. Again, he's the reason why I'm here today. And so he gave me this opportunity. And I still remember that today. I don't remember all the math lessons and the reading lessons, and I remember the creative moments. I remember the moments that I was allowed to be innovative. This is Jean Trimble's room in Westerville. She runs the media center at Walnut Springs Middle School. It's a makerspace. Now, you all know what makerspaces are, I hope. If you don't, read about it. Go to a session. Find something. This is a deconstructed computer. So someone took it apart. In her makerspace, she has just things to play with, to explore, to be inspired by. This is a deconstructed computer. This is the inspiration that came from it, the innovation that came from it. This wasn't an assignment. This is a student just sitting down and playing and working and doing what they love. The student that built this 30 years from now will be standing on a stage thanking Ms. Trimble for the opportunity to be inspired to do something like this. On the web, do you ever have your students write to NASA? So social media is out there. This is Twitter. But you can write to NASA, you can write to astronauts. They make all of their astronauts available through Twitter. How many of you have given that access to your kids to say, let's create a set of questions and create a conversation with NASA or with an astronaut or maybe with a writer? And Jeff Smith is a local writer. He writes the Bone series. So if I had my students at Westerville creating good questions, creating good thoughts, and tweeting Jeff Smith, would he tweet back? I don't know that answer yet, but would he tweet back? And if he did, how would your students be inspired? If you gave your students the access to tweet them, how would they be inspired? Especially if they tweeted back. And what about the President of the United States of America? At POTUS. Have any of you tweeted the President? We have a couple hands that say they have. Think about this for a moment. If you come up with a lesson that has your kids developing good questions, fun questions, serious questions, all, and start tweeting to the president, would he tweet back? If he did tweet back, you just inspired your students for a lifetime because they've talked to the President of the United States. So looking for those access points, looking for those reasons to be inspired, giving your students the opportunities. That's what Mr. Mancini did to me. It was more than the curriculum. He gave me opportunities to be a leader. He gave me opportunities of responsibility. And that inspired me to be who I am today, to be a teacher. And so I encourage you to take back that thought and work with your staff and with your students. And who will you inspire? Thank you.
How good is capturing a moment like that? That's me on my first day of school. I just saw a tweet from my friends in Australia, and I'm convinced that most of us never actually grew up. I think we're still middle school kids. And he said, if you didn't take a selfie, it never happened. Good luck. So I'm going to get you all to take out your phones and do a selfie with me. Got to keep those promises to friends in the land down under, yeah? Grab your phone out, your device, maybe even with the person next to you, and we're going to take a selfie. We ready? Gave a little duck face in mine. Nice. So I was 5 years old when I fell in love. Deep love, true love, that kind of bounce out of bed in the morning kind of love. The kind of love that our middle school kids have for taking selfies, right? 71% of kids that we recently surveyed in Australia said that they also love being at school. That's a really good news story. 20% of those same kids, though, don't go home and tell stories of teaching and learning. It makes me pretty sad. When we kind of think about what it is that we want to be sharing, these want to be love stories. I'll never forget when I decided I'm going to be a teacher. And much like David, much like Marsha, it was pretty early on. I worked hard, studied hard, and I went to school and I became a teacher. Much to the amusement of my friends who were always saying to me, why on earth would you want to go back and spend your days at school, let alone with middle school teenagers? Don't you remember what we were like? I said, yeah. But here's the thing. Just like the Lorax who spoke for the trees, somebody had to speak for the teenagers. And what I found is they actually ended up doing a lot of talking for me. When we come to conferences like this, we're looking for the next big thing, right? We're looking for sparks of inspiration. We're looking for answers. But it occurs to me that actually we need to be thinking about the power of the collective genius here. And I'll explain a little bit more about that in a minute. I recently got some feedback about working with teachers in Australia, and it was this. Summer seems overly enthusiastic when we talk about school. Now, I might not be overly enthusiastic, and I'm cool with that. You'll learn a lot more about me over the next 3 days. I tend to squeal a lot. I tend to get really, really excited, particularly when we're talking about successful young adolescents. I'm not naive around the realities. 1 in 5 students aren't graduating high school. 1 in 2 teachers leave the profession within their first 5 years. 50% of principals are due to retire in the next 3 years. These are universal statistics, not just from my country, but also from yours and around the world. And why do I care? Because I want people who love school to lead school. And why do I want to tell good stories? Think about it like this. The education of young people is everybody's business. And we don't kind of get people coming along to a party by telling them how much the venue sucks or how lame everyone is on the guest list, right? So we've got to be good at picking those stories and accentuating the positive. When we think about our place within this brilliant profession, I want to introduce you to one of our change makers, Tristan Dougie. Tristan's an artist and an Indigenous man who painted the story of education change makers and the collective genius. What we see is two-way exchange of knowledge, where we've got communities, teachers, parents, kids, talking about bright futures for young people from early childhood right through. And we've got this grassroots movement of educators with their innovation intrinsically in them unleashed, coming back to what we call the collective genius. We've got hundreds of schools represented here. There are thousands of teachers in this room and at this conference. There are hundreds of thousands of teachers that are out there within our communities, millions of students. If you have a look here around you, there are literally centuries of teaching experience and one person on one stage with the only working microphone. What becomes really, really blazingly clear is that not one person never will, never has, never had all of the answers to solve some of the biggest challenges facing education in our country, mine and yours. But we all have a story. Whenever I work with teachers across Australia and across the world, and I have the great privilege in doing so, I ask them all one question. What's one piece of advice you wish that you had the night before starting the job that you're in right now? I encourage you to think of that over the next couple of days. It's a big one. We've been gathering hundreds of pieces of advice from brilliant teachers, administrators, advisors, leaders, just like you, so that no teacher ever feels alone in their practice. Take yourself back to that night before. It was daunting, it was scary, and some people never made it. Think about how passionate the person is next to you. Imagine the lives of young people if they walked away. That, to me, is unacceptable. This one struck a chord with me. And it took me back to 2010. I was tired. I was a young teacher of brilliant girls. I was in a fabulous school. But I was charged with the emotional, social, and academic well-being of 147 grade 8 students. It was moments before our weekly rev-up meeting. You know, as advisors, you always got to go in and be the biggest cheerleaders for kids, right? I love what Rita Pearson says. Every child needs a champion. And you've got to go in there no matter how you're feeling. But a folder was dropped on my desk. And it was filled with printouts of conversations that had gone on Facebook the night before. Vile, despicable, disgusting words said by and about girls in my year group. I walked into that assembly hall and the girls were sitting there waiting for me to give the big cheer up. And I could hardly breathe, let alone talk. My eyes were stinging hot with tears. My voice was low and sharp. There are a lot of girls in there that had no idea what was going on. But there are a lot of girls that knew exactly what was happening. I gave the folder to my colleague and a good friend, and I could see as she read through, her demeanor dropped. And I said, you know, we talk about being young women of gratitude, of kindness, of friendship. Have I failed? I don't know what to do with you. show me that we didn't get all of this wrong. And then I said something that surprised even myself. I love you. I love you. We love you, in case you didn't know that. So seeing you hurt and hurting each other hurts me. Go. Go to lunch. This was a 45-minute meeting. This maybe took 2 minutes. Go to lunch. Eat something, please. Nap under a tree, read, play. Can you just do me one favor? Just choose kind. And as I walked out of that room, you could have heard a pin drop. I got back to my desk and I thought, I don't know what I'm going to do next. If I'm 100% honest with you, I thought this might be my last day in the job. These girls had broken my heart. And then a colleague that was in the room, that assembly, she came up to my desk and said, Summer, I think you should go to the notice board. And I thought, oh, what now? No more, no more. As I walked down the stairs, I saw that the girls were kind of in a bit of a flurry. And the notice board, all of the announcements and the regular administrivia had been replaced with hundreds of Post-it notes and little coloured squares of paper. And they all had quotes on them. Things that I'd quoted, Winnie the Pooh, Dr. Seuss, each other, me, other teachers. And there was a simple handwritten note. And it simply said, take a note, leave a note. Choose kind. As I went to debrief with the leadership about what had happened, this was a serious bullying issue. I got the best piece of advice that I had ever got from any leader. And she simply said this, Summer, go be with your girls. All of this can matter tomorrow if it matters. Focus on what they did here. They turned this around. They fell back in love with each other. Go celebrate that. And you know, it was in that moment I realized there would never be this lesson, this group of girls, or this moment again, and my heart broke. And I couldn't stop thinking, had I have had the networks, the skills, the resources and tools to not feel so alone in that moment where I was focused on spreadsheets and not being in the playground, would this have happened? And I went home and I wanted to set the system on fire. And I decided that I would find great teachers and I would back them with the school tools, networks, and skills that they need to focus on spending time with young adolescents. When I look back on that moment, do I think of when the whole year group was fractured? No. I think of the time when my kids rallied. When they went online that afternoon and started the Invisible Hearts project. They went to every corner of social media and they posted simple messages of kindness to each other. They kept it going throughout the rest of their middle school years. Those girls have graduated, and the power of Facebook now keeps us connected, and they choose nice. The human spirit thrives on stories of success. It thrives on stories of successful young adolescents and those that teach them. I believe in a world where school is the very best place any human can spend their day. I believe in a world where people are greenly and insanely jealous of the fact that we get to spend our days with people's most precious asset, their child. And I wonder what your I believe statement is. When you go back into your schools and you're asked, so who was the big inspiration? What was the next best thing? Who had the answer? I want you to take your phone out and I want you to look at that selfie that you took. Because it's teachers like you, like the people sitting next to you, like your friends that you're going to meet over the next 3 days. It's in you. My friend Jabiz, the intrepid teacher on Twitter, he reminded me of this recently. And do me a favor, do not buy into the negative narrative of school. School isn't broken, not even close. School's amazing. It's fantastic. There are amazing stories there. Do not buy into this myth of the extraordinary story and the education rock star. Don't buy it. It's ordinary stories told with extraordinary love that make people sit up, get overly enthusiastic, and change the world.
Start, 2, 1, booster ignition, and liftoff of the Space Shuttle Discovery, returning to the space station, paving the way for future missions beyond.
What's that, son?
I would take you and Mommy into space.
Glide past the moon, slide along the rings of Saturn, skim the blue skies and ice of Pluto, and out beyond the reaches of our galaxy. That sounds like fun.
Yeah, but I need some more Legos to build my rocket.
We can do that.
And Dad?
Yes?
Will my teachers let me dream big?
Sure they will, son. And in middle school, they'll give you the tools and the inspiration to make them real.
Solid rocket booster separation confirmed. Guidance now converging. Discovery's on board.
Only if you mean it.
Commanding the main engine nozzles to swivel, aiming the shuttle for its precise target.
How cool is that? The imagination of our country and so many others coming together to create this wonderful, wonderful thing. But I used to think back in the Thanksgiving Day parade when I was a kid, what would it be like if they just let the balloons go? They got together and said, hey, let's do it. Bullwinkle wrapped around the Empire State Building spire. There go the Power Rangers across Canada. So cool. I'd be like, whoa! What tethers us, however? What keeps us mired in mediocrity? Here, just on the earth, cynicism, resentment? I wonder if you recognize any of these things that actually diminish us and our entire mission. Denying access. No, leave your cameras. No, yeah, leave all this stuff at the front schoolhouse door. We have 2 sticks, rub together. Something will happen, I'm sure. Probably not cool. All kinds of things. I'm the final arbiter. Drink thirstily from my faucet. It'll prepare you for all. No, we're not. All of these things. The factory model of schooling gets in the way of what we're thinking about. The Common Core is going to solve everything. No, Common Core and so many other things will do that. No annual professional development. And seriously, large class size? What are some of these other ideas? Intellectual bias. It's so clear in my head, why isn't it clear in your head? There must be something wrong with you. No middle school training. Pacing mandates. Week 5, day 3, everybody's on page 57. Goes against everything we know. Yeah, middle schools are not junior versions of high school. They're completely different. You can't build them like that. Hey, it's a datum, it must have credibility because it's data. No. Honor roll? That's for mom and dad. Nothing else, nothing pedagogical. And the last slide of this, taking kids out of PE and fine and performing arts in order to double up on reading and math classes for test preparation. We can do better. Oh no, you can't be creative. It makes others look bad. It might bruise their ego. Yeah, are you compliant? Are you engaged? Are you learning this stuff? What are we about? Diminished autonomy? We can do better than that. And staying quiet when the education bullies and pundits say something and we say nothing. We are so much better than that. So in my community, we have violent gangs, and one of the gang members is in my class. And I went to him and I said, Ty, what is it, man? I shouldn't be afraid to raise my children in this own community in which I teach, in which I work. And he said, yo, Mr. W, gangs are only as strong as the town lets them be. If you rose up together, we'd be nothing, but you don't rise, so we're still here. That was the day we started a coalition to get rid of the gangs in our community. We decided, what could we do if we were brave together? What's it going to take to achieve escape velocity? If I had a harness, I'd be flying over your heads right now. We've got to think about this. I'm going to hand out blow torches to all of you at some point in my life and let you carve a hole in your echo chamber. We can do this. Go really fast. Pull it off. We can embrace the innovators in our classrooms. Matt Groening and The Simpsons, totally radical back in the 80s, but man, it opened doors to so many ways of thinking. These are the people that are in our classes right now and our colleagues. Would we recognize them in our schools? All these people, our classrooms cultivating these folks? I think we can pull it off. Oh, not just a turtle, that Leonardo. You might be calling a doctor, wondering who, and we'd all say exactly. Something about a wizard. Yeah, these people change the face of our society. Would we be open to it? Would we gravitate towards them? These people who are here, we can get their rocket fire, put it in ours, mix it up. These are wonderful people, even this guy. We can do amazing things if we put our hearts and minds to it, and we find the courage and the oxygen to pull it off. All of these people are in our classes right now. But we have to realize that our whole future is based on this. Every time we've advanced as civilization, it's because somebody parted ways with a standardized conventional practice of the time. Are we open to that? Or like, no, you must go through this lockstep all the way through. This is my son, Ryan, before he went into 8th grade. Some of you have seen this before. Yeah, he's wonderful, great kid. Ladies and gentlemen, the very next year, going into 9th grade is the next slide. Ladies and gentlemen, before, after. Let's do that one more time. Before, what qualifies you for this, working with this child, doesn't qualify you for working with that child. Join Mensa in order to keep up with today's students. These kids are very, very different. But in order to live up to that, you'll have to have the courage to part ways with the school's procedures. The #1 most common characteristic among the state teachers of the year, TOY programs, they were rule breakers. Yeah, they didn't put the curriculum of children in jeopardy, but man, they parted ways with the procedures in order to live up to its mission. We teach everyone, not just the easy ones. It'd be so great to tell mom and dad, these children you're sending us, low quality. We're sending them back, something from the other part of the gene pool, maybe the mother's side. That'd be really good. So you have to decide, do I have that courage? Do I realize what goes unachieved because I was playing it politically safe? The time for that is over. You do your thing, I do my thing, regardless of the ethics, gone. Prufrock had that quandary. Who am I to have a voice? Please, let me belong, let me do something. Do I have too much power? Yeah, we can pull this off. I teach science models, math models, writing models, and then I say, now transcend them. Know when not to use a model, when to use a hybrid of 3 or 4 models. But man, don't settle for, if I'm given just the right situation, I can do just the right model. We are so much better than that. That means we question convention. I've got 5 different subjects here, 4 students. Here's the report for student A. The average there is 70. Would you agree? Yeah, but take a look at the other students who tell a completely different story. Each one of them, I should respond to him or her differently. But if we just averaged, and yeah, do the math, the average for all these students is 70, each one of them. I'd be knowingly distorting the truth, knowingly lying. And there's no moral authority that I have to lie, to distort the truth. So I need to question some things we thought were really fine. You know, averaging. It's one of the things we drop if we're gonna live up to it. Yeah, we're gonna get into redos and retakes, man. Wait for it, here it comes, for full credit. Oh, you had me until you went there, Rick. I'm gonna shut down. If I had Tesla up here on the slide, it'd be even more dramatic. But for right now, could you read his quote? Yeah. It's about reiteration, and then humor and non sequitur. Right now, some of you are going in your mind's eye. Yeah, a sense of humor is a way you ignite the fire that will help us achieve that escape velocity. And then we want to reframe things in different metaphors. What? Nobody believes that a child is a blank slate. Yet we use that for decades, okay, an epoch practically. We thought that's the way children learn. It's not. So how are our current metaphors and analogies limiting us? Grades are compensation and reward? No, grades are communication. It fundamentally changes everything we believe about grades when you do that, just when you examine your current metaphors. I'm hoping you'll be open to that. This reframing is huge. I've got a parent who is all over my case. This parent really needs to back up. They're always complaining. Or do I say, hey, how can I communicate more successfully so this parent feels more assured that I know what's going on and they feel like they're informed, in the loop? Oh, the reframing. But in order to accept a new idea from any presenter here at the conference or in this keynote session here, you must have first admit what you were thinking and doing was less effective than your ego thought it was. And that's really hard. Your ego's wrapped up in your true colors as a teacher. Are you up to that? Can you be candid with self and see what was swept under? And then the high school says, ew, what's going on in middle school? You better not bring any of that here. Those middle schoolers, they weren't being trained properly. Let me tell you, I have to shape you up. Here's the thing. How are they going to be successful in high school? Competence and maturation, love of life, hope, potential, belonging, all those things. That stuff happens here. They'll be highly competent, ready for high school, no matter what is offered. But the last thing you do is you don't say they're going to be miserable later, so you make them miserable now, so you're used to misery all along. You don't sacrifice sound pedagogy because somebody above you isn't there yet. You educate them on what's proper. And you develop that sense of humility. Mark Twain, it's not what you don't know that gets you in trouble. It's what you know for sure that ain't so. Oh, I'm so sure this is going to happen. But wait a minute, I need to ask the larger questions. Whose voice is not heard in our deliberations? How are the master schedule limiting our pedagogy? What do we know about the brain of young adolescents, and how does that manifest in my classroom this year? And it's not, why not? I need to do all those things. And I have to remember that middle school is about what we do with them, not to them. So if I'm at a conference like this one, and I get really cool research, hey, for young adolescents, you want to do this, I have to remember to do that. And if I can't, I ask the kids, I don't know how to do it, but as you're multiplying binomials, define yourself. That's supposed to be like important. I've never had a class fail to rise. And that means we make them active creators, not passive consumers. Here's stuff, talk, talk, talk. Now repeat it back to me. Oh, look, you did it. No. What are we about? They create science, create math, create grammar, create poetry, technology, physical well-being, create art, and create dance. They do all these things, not just hear about it and spit it back to perform for a test. There's so much more. We teach all of them, not just the easy ones. Looks like the font went off the slide. Oh, well. Yeah, that would be you holding on tight. And then we actually feed our intellectual selves. That's what you're here for to do right here. We're well read, and we turn to the greats who will inspire us and carry us forward. Now, find the commonality. Yeah, the humor behind us, find joy in the success of one another, and then get ready. Cell phones out, iPads out, whatever you might have. Turn on the light, man. We're ready to rock this house. So whatever your light would be, turn it on so that maybe it's the flash, like this. Okay, good. Here we go. In a moment, you're going to rock. We'll do the chorus twice, and then we'll cut it short really quickly with a final thought, and that's it. That will bring it to the end. So, do this. General Westmoreland was reviewing a troop of paratroopers. Vietnam War, small section of paratroopers. And he went to the first one and said, soldier, you like to jump out of airplanes? Sir, yes, sir, it's an adrenaline rush, sir. Easy, soldier. Went to the second one, son, you like to jump out of airplanes? Sir, yes, sir, you should join us one day, sir. No, I'll keep my feet on the ground, thank you very much. He went to the third one and said, son, like to jump out of airplanes? Sir, no, sir. Then what are you doing in a paratrooping division? Sir, I like to hang out with guys who do like to jump out of airplanes. Sir, this courage, this hope, this intellect is contagious. We're going to do the wise and wonderful thing. We're going to make sure that we see the lights in each other and we see our own light, the rocket fire. So let's just really remember what's going on here.
I know I gave it to you months ago. I know you're trying to forget.
Here we go. You're looking at the lights of each other, and you're about to wave it. Let's light these rockets, and let's achieve escape velocity. Not tonight, I mean today. Sing it with me. You can do it. And so can your students. Thank you. Oh, here comes the gang.
There you go. Let's hear it, everybody. All right, all right. So once again, let's give a round of applause to these 4 amazing speakers and the 2 middle school students who brought them up here. What a great way to kick off the morning here at AMLE 2015. You know, there's a quote attributed to Yates that says, education is not the filling of a bucket, but the lighting of a fire. And I think that Rick just said there's a new one. It's about the lighting of a rocket. So let's keep this thing going. So thank you so much for being here at C-Bus. And thank you, as we always say here at AMLE, for reaching every student, growing professionally, and creating great schools. So please enjoy your first day at AMLE 2015, your annual conference for middle level education. Thank you all.
As long as you are with me, there's no place I'd rather be. I would away forever.
Good job, man. Kicked it off. Awesome, awesome.